Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we have a comparison video. A lot of you guys have asked in the past for us to do some comparison videos. Well, we chose to do one. I chose to do one that would compare the FN SCAR-16 to the Robinson Armament XCR rifle. Now, both of these rifles were developed for the SCAR program back around 2003, in that time period in there. These were the heavy versions. There were also light versions. Of course, you have the SCAR-16 in 5.56, and you also have the light version of the XCR chambered in 5.56. These were both designed for the SCAR program. Now, this eventually won in the heavy. The light, the gun failed. They ended up going back to the M4A1, but for as far as they did adopt this version with a shorter barrel, selective fire, and it was bought on a limited basis for use with SOCOM. Now, this rifle by Robinson Armament was entered as well. This was kicked out for a detail because it didn't have a black firing adapter with it when it was shipped. Now, when it comes to submitting to RFQs or requests for quotes or requests for products for the U.S. government, especially SOCOM, if you don't follow what they do to a T, you are out. And Robinson built this rifle around the specifications and lost out on a technicality, never getting a chance to compete. However, when you look at the Robinson XCR, it has every feature that we're looking at today back then, for as far as its modularity, its ability to change out barrels, its ergonomics and everything. So when you compare these two, it's going to be very, very interesting, especially I didn't know where I was going to end up for as far as which one I like better. Of course, you look at the SCAR-16, SCAR-17, they're combat rifles. They've been used in combat for years. XCR has not really ever seen military use, unfortunately, because again, it's being a smaller company and not having the power like FN or Colt or any of these major manufacturers have. But when it came down to the design of the rifle, I think Robinson Armament was very ahead of the curve very, very long ago. So now we've done separate videos on both of these guns. So if you want to go and look at the details on the two guns, you can go look at those videos. This is primarily about a comparison between the two of them. So I think that's what we're going to start off with. So we'll take them apart. We'll show some of the ways that they work and whatnot. But for as far as details on the individual rifles, we'll leave that up to the other videos. So again, both rifles are chambered in 7.62 NATO or 308 Winchester. Now, both of these can be had in 6.5 Creedmoor as well. Now, this is one of the areas where the XCR really takes the cake. You have a bolt right here. Now, this bolt, when you remove this bolt, you're able to remove the barrel, and the barrel comes right out at user level, and you can change barrel lengths, you can change calibers very, very quickly. This one you can do as well, but this is not so easy. This is a matter of taking out a lot of screws. This is not really what you would do on a user level. Weight, 8 pounds versus 9.1 pounds. Now you have a polymer lower receiver on the SCAR. You have a aluminum forging on the XCR. Upper receiver, you have extrusion versus a forging on the upper receiver for the XCR. Length. Now, both of these have 16-inch barrels, so we're going to go with a 16.25-inch barrel, cold hammer forged, chrome lined on the mil spec SCAR-17 versus a non-chrome lined stainless steel barrel on the XCR. Now, we have a Vortex flash hider on that one versus the primary weapon systems muzzle brake, which comes on this as it comes from FN. Now, the FN SCAR uses a 1 in 12-inch twist, 1 in 10-inch on the XCR, so they use a little bit different of a twist. Both have 5/8 by 24 threads on them. Again, we have Vortex on there versus the primary weapon systems compensator on there. Gas positions. The SCAR comes with generally a 2-position gas valve. Well, at the time I saw this, I wanted to do a little bit of exploring. It's one of the newer products by K&S Precision. So they have a fully adjustable gas valve that replaces that. And we're going to see in the video me adjusting this. And I have to say that it works very, very well. It's very easy to see what positions that you're at. You'll see in the video with me adjusting this down to basically what I did was I started with it on 0 and moved it up until it locked back on the last shot. And that was perfect. Now, if I was to have this suppressed, this would have allowed me to back that down quite a bit so I could fire this gun smoothly suppressed. Now, on the Robinson Armament, as we'll see right here, We have an 8-position gas valve. This one here works the same way for as far as 8 positions, but it comes 8 positions rather than 2. The SCAR was meant for simple stupid, for military use. So for military use, it's better just to have 2 positions, suppressed and unsuppressed, because when you get to adjustments of this level, if you were to adjust this to a suppressed setting and then take the suppressor off, you may not have enough back pressure under certain conditions to operate the gun, so you would have to make sure that whenever you took your suppressor on and off, you have to make sure this was adjusted properly. So, quite frankly, for military use, the 2-position is better. I'm sure Robinson Armament, if it was ever requested of them, they would be able to do it as well. Now, backup sights. The SCAR comes with a front and rear backup sight. Robinson Armament does not. Now, the safety. The safety on the SCAR is not what you would call easier to get to. The one I found on the XCR is a little bit easier in its positions. So I definitely had to give that a little bit of an edge to the SCAR. Now, when we come to other features. Now, in order to lock this thing back on the last shot, either magazine or you have a ping pong paddle on the left-hand side. Robinson Armament has that one beat. The way Robinson Armament works is when you lock back on your last shot, you have a FN style bolt release on the front where it allows you to release. So you have an ambidextrous bolt release, you have an ambidextrous magazine release as well. So you have fully ambi features on this one, where the SCAR that you do not. As far as charging handles is concerned, you have a left side non-reciprocating charging handle on the XCR. On the SCAR, we have a left side adjusted left or right hand side, but it is reciprocating. This was not corrected until the last year or so, where now FN offers a non-reciprocating charging handle. Now, of course, in their military configurations, there will be selective fire. Now, I've never seen one of these selective fire. I know I talked to Alex Robinson at Robinson Armament. He says they do have them on selective fire, but I have just never seen one. So let's start looking at some of the receivers. Again, lower receiver, polymer, aluminum, fully ambidextrous. Basically, you just have ambi magazine release on here. Everything else is standard. You have ambi safety, but you do not have an ambidextrous bolt catch on here. Now, both of them have the A2 pistol grips. Now, stocks. Stocks is something very interesting. These everybody refers to as the UGG boot stock. Well, I guess it does have an UGG boot stock look to it. This has been a problem with the SCAR breaking. In fact, a lot of people who've carried these in combat have been known to carry extra stocks with them because they were known to break. Another problem that the SCAR has had is because of the way this is all put together, the harmonics destroy optics. I have a Spectre optic on here. This is probably one of the few optics that's out there that will handle the harmonics, the abuse from the SCAR 17. This gun has been known to destroy any kind of night vision, any kind of thermal, and most optics. Just because of the harmonics. That was a problem that was addressed by another company who made a different lower receiver, which took care of a lot of that. But looking over at the Robinson Armament, as we can see from the side here, we have M-lock on here. We have full continuous rail on the top. It's extrusion. Again, this is a little bit heavier of a built. The stock we have on here, I hate telling Alex this, but I don't like it because the dial here, the tightening dial, comes loose when you shoot it. But you do have a lot of a range of adjustment, and you do have the ability to side fold it as well. But this is one of the problems that I don't like about it, is this thing here tends to come loose. But when you get into stocks, the other thing we're going to talk about is recoil. That is the one place that the two of these guns do very much differ. The SCAR 17, for as far as recoil, is a pussycat compared to the XCR. Even with the gas down, you do get quite a bit of you have a large reciprocating mass that's coming back at you. So the lighter recoil definitely was on the SCAR. Now, trigger pull. Trigger pull is another area where these two rifles are very, very different. Now, the SCAR is not known for a nice trigger. In fact, most people who buy SCARs get the Geisley SCAR trigger. But this one here is a relatively heavy trigger at about 6.25 pounds. The trigger that comes on the XCR is absolutely gorgeous. The one that Robinson Armament puts on here is a 2-position, and it's 4.5, and it is as crisp as can be. The trigger is vastly, vastly superior. Cost. Wow. Cost is really a big feature on here. Scar. $4,239 for one of these now. These for some reason keep going up in value. The XCRs are $2,550. So there's a big cost difference between the two of them. So those are more of the stats. We're gonna take them apart real quick and show you the differences between the two of them and what the two of them have to offer. We're gonna start with the XCR. Again, XCR uses standard SR25 type magazines, where the FNs use a proprietary magazine, which is based off of the FAL magazine. These magazines are crap. These magazines break. They're not known for being a very durable magazine. There has been a couple companies who've come out and make conversion magazines for these ones to use SR25 type magazines, which is what I prefer. So again, for disassembly, what we're going to do is we have a plunger here. We're going to push that inward, and it's going to sling open just like that of an AR-15. And we'll push inward on this. And now we pull the lower receiver off. We're going to take a look at the lower receiver first. Now as you see here is your bolt catch, and you can see we have the ambi up and down. We have our safety. And again, if you take a look at that trigger, you can see we have a very nice two-stage trigger on here. Again, Alex did a hell of a job on the trigger on this thing. You can see the machining is beautiful. There's a lot of aluminum on here. This is a heavier rifle. This predates the polymer where everybody's using polymer receivers. Looking at the stock, again, folds to the side. So you have a side folding, and you have adjustable telescopic on the side. A2 pistol grip. Now we'll take a look at the bolt mechanism. Very heavy duty recoil spring. As we spoke, this is a long stroke. So there's your long stroke operating rod, piston on the end. And you have a bolt, which is like that of an AK, which is basically a 3-lug locking system on here. Comes right apart like so, very, very simple. So your cam track. Again, this is a very, very simple rifle. It does have a firing pin return spring on here as well, so this is not going to slam fire with lightweight ammunition. So again, to remove the barrel, all we do is we have an Allen key, and we unscrew this, and the barrel comes right out the front. That's really all there is to it. And we can change out different barrels. So for reassembly, take your operating rod assembly, drop it on the top, unlock position, recoil spring, we push inward. There you have it. Now we'll take a look at the Scar. Scar, we have a 1 pin, pull back, push out. We'll take a quick look at this. Now as we see a polymer grip module, we have a FAL type trigger, brutal trigger, again, not a good trigger. Ambi magazine release, standard ping pong panel bolt catch, standard magazine release on the side, ambi safety, A2 pistol grip. Stock comes right out the bottom. So there's your UGG boot. Recoil spring. Pull back, lift your lever out. And now you have your bolt carrier group. Big, heavy chunk of metal. Now, I've had a chance to fire these on Filato on a couple occasions, and these things chug right along. In fact, they have a very low rate of fire, and that's because of all this massive mass that you have on here. Your piston is up and through here. We're not going to take that apart. This is not an easy gun to get apart for as far as taking your piston apart. You're not going to do that for regular maintenance or regular routine cleaning. So again, for reassembly, I'll put it right back in like so. You have to line up your Line up your notch. You have to make sure that you have the plunger in the rear here in correctly. Drop up like so. There you have it. So we're going to take both of these sticks to the range and we're going to see how they shoot. We're looking at the new K&S adjustable gas system for the FN SCAR-16, SCAR-17. I have it on the SCAR-17. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire our first rounds and then we're going to get the gas valve adjusted in. We're going to start off on 1 and work our way up. Basically how we're going to do this is fire 1 round until the magazine locks back on the shot. So the ammunition we're going to use is Black Hills 175 grain OTM. So starting off, I expect this to be basically a bolt action, and then we're going to work our way up until we get it to lock back. So, setting 1. Okay, as you can see, it did not lock back on that shot, so we're going to adjust it up. We're going to go up 2. We still see it didn't lock open. We're going to go up a couple more. Still not. We're going to go a couple more. We're still not quite there. A couple more. Now, of course, we're not doing suppressor right now, so a lot of these settings would be very good for suppressor for overgas use. Now we got to lock back to the last shot. So what we're going to do is to confirm, we're going to try 1 more. There we go. So we'll start off with the SCAR. The SCAR at 75 yards. We had about 0.75 inches at 75 yards with Black Hills 308, 175 grain OTM. Now, again, where this rifle shined was recoil. Again, I didn't really take muzzle blast into account due to the fact that, one's a flash suppressor, one's a muzzle brake. But, of course, reliability. This gun here I've had for, I'd probably say about 6 years. I probably put maybe 400 or 500 rounds out of it. I've had teenies in the past. So I've got a fair share amount of rounds through these things and never had any malfunctions. Now we're going to go over to the XCR. Now the XCR at 75 yards, 0.90 inches with the Black Hills 175 grain OTM. So the group was slightly wider. Now again, I am not a precision shot. You also have to understand that the day that I went out and I did this, I probably fired over close to 2,000 rounds between two different guns. But again, where this one gets you was in the recoil. But this one's very easy to suppress. It's very easy to do anything that you want. And as far as the barrels are concerned, you're looking at 308. You're looking at 6.5 Creedmoor. You're looking at 243. Pretty much any of those ones that are based off of that, he's able to make a barrel for. Where the SCAR, you pretty much only see 6.5 Creedmoor and 7.62, so you have more. So now's the big question: which one did I like the best? Now, again, both rifles are iconic. Both rifles have their places. From a mechanical standpoint and everything else, believe it or not, the XCR. The only thing that I preferred of the SCAR over the XCR was the recoil. The recoil on the SCAR was definitely milder. Now the accuracy, if I had time and I was really wanted to sit down and play with it, I'm sure this would tighten up quite a bit. For as far as combat rifles are concerned, both of them would serve that. This rifle was designed around the same criteria that this one was, to compete for the same competition. However, in the end, this one never had its chance in the sun, in either the 5.56 version or the 308 version. You can't take away, obviously, that the SCAR has combat history. The XCR does not. So, certainly take into consideration. I'm looking at it from a mechanical standpoint. Features. This has all the features, ambi features on it. This does not. This is much more comfortable because it's more like an M16 to me for that feeling. Simplicity, parts. This thing just seems to have it in drones. But it's not to say I don't like this one. I do. But if I had to choose, I have to say it would be the XCR. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of you guys who disagree with me. Please, that's what this is all about. This is all about opinions. I'm just giving you my logic coming from a mechanical standpoint. So, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share.